Do you want to learn more about history? If you do, it's going to cost you, and that's going to cost you dear. Hey, welcome back to the Desperate Historian. I'm your host, Aaron Miller. Hey, you might notice a little few changes to the set here. Going to be moving camp a little bit here shortly, so some changes to the background over the next few episodes. But hey, bear with us. Um, yeah, to really know history, it's going to cost you dearly. Of course, to study history and do it right, it's going to take time and effort. And you want to read a lot of books, and you can get those books for free from your local library, but even that still takes some time and effort. To visit historical places and go to museums that you want to see. And I hope you do that. I want you to go out there and embrace history as much as you can. But that's expensive and can be time consuming. Takes a lot of effort on your part. To take classes and learn from other historians, to learn from the experts, that can also be expensive and time consuming and exhausting. But that's not really what I'm talking about here. See, you're going to find out a lot of the things that you've been told your whole life, maybe, or seen in a movie about history, are wrong. And to admit that you're wrong and reassess your point of view about anything, including history, that's hard. To admit that I'm wrong, that can be painful. That's a tough process. And there's just a lot of people out there who are not willing to do that. They want to be kind of stuck in their preconceived notions and are not willing to challenge their own beliefs. As you study history, you're going to learn that your heroes were villains, that some of the villains or people you once thought of as villains were actually heroes, or at least more complicated than what you once thought. You will read a book, and that book will infuriate you. It'll make you angry. You will hate that writer. You'll hate the author. But then it stays with you, and you can't shake it. And you're thinking about it. Almost against your will, you're thinking about it. It will eat at you, and you'll be thinking about it when you're trying to fall asleep at night. And then you will start to do some of your own research and realize, hey, that book was right. The author is right. They're right about their conclusions, and you have to admit that you're wrong about something. And that's a tough awakening. If you have empathy, you will also experience the pain and suffering of others from the past. In a 1963 interview with Life magazine, writer and civil rights activist James Baldwin said, quote, "You think your pain and your heartbreak are unprecedented in the history of the world, but then you read." I find some comfort in that saying, in his quote, because in one way I know that I'm not alone in terms of my suffering and pain. In fact, my own suffering and struggles are nothing compared to what others have gone through. You read about the horrible things that we as human beings have done to each other, and yes, it is indeed heartbreaking. I've visited some historic places. I've been very fortunate to travel and see some historic places that have been pretty emotional. Historic sites like battlefields, asylums, prisons, seeing Ypres and Flanders Fields, battlefields of World War One, and then seeing the senselessness of that death and slaughter. Those were tough days. Actually, the tour guide we started in Brussels, and he said that we were going to start the day in beauty and end the day in filth, talking about those battlefields. Um, I visited the Lorraine Hotel where Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered, and Ford's Theater where Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And if you consider those places, and the history of those places, the tragedy, and how our country took a wrong turn down a dark path at each one of those instances, and what things could have been like for us if Lincoln had survived, if King had lived. We all would have been better off. Our country would have been better off. The world would have been better off. And that breaks your heart. I've gone to lectures, and it's probably some of you have given to Holocaust survivors. I've also went to a lecture given by a survivor of the forced labor on the bridge on the River Kwai, and that was under brutal conditions. And to hear stories from these survivors, to know what human beings can do to one another is heartbreaking and painful. To know about the depths of corruption in our government from the very people who are supposed to be helping out their fellow citizens, that's infuriating. You will find that things that you were always thought were true were taught wrong. That some parts of the story, the important parts of the story, were left out. If you just want to revisit what you already know or think you know, it won't hurt to study history. You will just get confirmed of your what your beliefs already are. But there won't be any growth either. If you want to discover the past, to learn from others, to take a new point of view, to be a contrarian, to go against the mainstream, yeah, that's going to hurt. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Hey, if you like this kind of content, honest talk about history without AI, do me a favor, like and subscribe to this channel. I would appreciate it. I'll see you next time on The Desperate Historian.